welcome back. Today guys, I've brought you to Scotland's largest abandoned structure. So let's get straight into that. Here's your first view of the structure. Doesn't look like much, but believe you me, this was far from not much. This was absolutely huge. Now, there might be some interruptions because, as you can see, I'm right next to a main road and it's quite a busy one at the best of times. But I'll do my best to wait for traffic to pass before I continue and as I go. So anyway, yeah, this, believe it or not, used to be a wall, and it stretched for 40 Roman miles or 60 kilometres from one side of Scotland to the other. And even today it's still quite a large, overwhelming structure, at least in some places like this. The top of that mound there is roughly about 15 feet higher than my head. You can still see the layout of it quite clearly. You've got the high bank to the left, which was the wall itself, and then I'm walking in what is the new level of the ditch, and then the bank to the right hand side would have been the normal ground level. And then obviously since then they've cut this road in, and then beyond that there's a canal being dug out. The person who ordered this wall to be built was Antoninus Pius, and he was a Roman emperor, and he named the wall after himself. He called it the Antonine Wall. Now, I could keep walking and follow this entire wall, but then it would take me 60 kilometres to do so. They started building it in central Scotland on the east coast at Bo'ness, which is modern day Bo'ness, or Boristoness as it was pronounced back then, and it stretched from east to west right across Scotland until it reached what is now Kilpatrick today. But it wasn't the first wall to be built in these islands. The first one was Hadrian's Wall, and that was built by the Emperor Hadrian, but that's down by the Scottish borders. This one, as I say, is in the central belt, and Antoninus Pius wanted to make one last final push and effort into Scotland to include Scotland and the rest of the Roman Empire, which already then was actually in quite a state, the Roman Empire. It was already on the losing side of history because they were suffering great losses in battles, and other peoples were crossing the Roman Empire's boundaries and attacking them within their own safe grounds and lands. But despite that, Antonine was still wanting to push for Scotland, and this is as far as he got, because back then the Scottish warriors, the Picts, the Scots, were an absolute force to be reckoned with and very hard to defeat. But they managed to build this. It was largely constructed from turfs. The wall and soil. And obviously then you had this massive ditch. On the other side of the wall would have been, you know, watchtowers, there would have been Roman forts, there would have been houses, accommodations, you know, for the Roman soldiers and what have you, and the generals and all the high up ones would have had basically villas with underfloor heating and heated swimming pools, saunas, you name it. They made sure they got their luxuries and enjoyed it. It's actually a very impressive mark it's left on the landscape, I think. It's quite an intriguing place to walk along and see. But of course, by the time they got this built, the Roman Empire was to fall due to all those losses that they were having with bad military strategies and other people coming in and defeating them. But I thought you'd like to see this, and it gets me out the house. Even though I can't travel far with the restrictions, at least I can come to more local places that are local to me. It's a bit wet and soggy at this time of year, but this would be a really nice, pleasurable walk in the summer. And they could just set up somewhere and have a picnic. This part of the wall that we're visiting today, it's just outside the town of Bonnybridge, right between Bonnybridge and High Bonnybridge. So we're now climbing up onto the wall itself. Of course, it would have been much higher back then. It was about, the actual wall itself was about 4 metres high. So you're talking about 16 feet, between 13 and 16 feet was the height that they reckon it was from the records. Now, I know the camera won't do it justice, but that must have been some sight back in the day, because the land's over there beyond the trees. They're a long way down, and if you were down there trying to get up here and cross this wall, it wasn't going to happen. The wall was not only just built as an example of the Roman Empire's boundary, it was also to protect the Romans themselves from the Scots and the Picts, and they were making damn sure that they protected themselves building such a high wall and gave themselves every advantage to defend themselves with a huge ditch in front of it. But of course the Roman Empire fell, and after all the effort that Antoninus Pius put into this wall, it was to achieve nothing in the end, because the Romans never ever did conquer Scotland. They gave it a good go, but they never got us. And they went away back home with their tails between their legs, and their empire finally collapsed. Antoninus Pius, he's recorded in history as having a final meal of, I think it was Alpine cheese, and then coming down with a fever, vomiting during the night, and then I believe he died the following day. Sounds a bit dodgy to me. I've been eating cheese all my life and it's not killed me yet, so it makes you wonder what was in that cheese. So this is me coming up onto what is the highest point of the wall here, at least in this part of the landscape. So that's it, that's me on the very highest peak at this point. As I say, it really does add to the landscape. It's quite beautiful, and again, especially at this time of year, with the autumn leaves, the nice colours. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this look. If you want to know more about the other wall, you can Google it yourself, Hadrian's Wall. Maybe sometime after the restrictions are lifted and we all get through this COVID, then I'll take a trip to Hadrian's Wall and show you that one as well. That one was built out of stone, and it was a lot more impressive than what the Antonine Wall would have been like back in their prime. Well guys, thanks for tuning in and watching, and until next time, whenever that may be, because I don't know, this is Pajerico signing off.